Alright guys, this is going to be bug out stoves, and it goes sort of an extension off the fire video. You don't want to have to stop and make a fire every time you need food. You don't want to stop and make fire every time you need to purify water. It's just not advantageous to think that that's going to be possible or something that you want to do. Now the two stoves that I actually are my go-to stoves, I have no fear about putting them in a pack and knowing that I'm going to have something to be able to cook with, to be able to sterilize my water. Now, I love the Canteen setup, but the Canteen Stove setup has always been sort of just a backup. It really doesn't take much more room to have the canteen setup with a stove and some fuel. Initially, you're using that container to hold your water. Everything else is just a little bit extra weight, really not that much weight. But I'm not going to rely on the alcohol that I'm going to have to carry. Now you can use the canteen cup, obviously, on a wood fire. There's other sources. Other than weight, there's really no reason you couldn't keep the canteen cup with you. That way you have something to store your water in, and everything else is there as a backup. Okay, just as a little caveat. But my two go-to stoves. One's going to be the International. It's MSR. I think it's called the Whisper Light International. Had it for many years. In fact, I've even run this bottle over with my truck, and it still aces. But that's a lot of fuel. Now I'm going to get a lot of stoves out of that, or a lot of meals, boiled water. It is a pressurized stove, so it'll work in high altitudes. It'll work no matter what. I have no guarantee or no worries that this stove would ever fail me. It does have the little shaker in it, which you probably can't hear, but as you hike, it cleans the jet. Helps keep the carbon away, so it always pretty much works. Now the International stove, and I'll put of course, link over here. I believe it's called ultralight stoves, where I sort of weigh a lot of these out, and I have a separate video for the Caldera Tri stove, so you can look that up. But it's a lot of weight. Now, I keep this in what I call my mountain bag. My mountain bag is something that I have where I can throw in the truck. It's not a bug out bag or anything, but because of the weight, that's where I keep this. This is also a winter stove. If I'm going to be in high altitudes, I will grab this stove, but it probably will not go into a bug out bag due to the weight. Now, the International, one of its caveats is it runs on just about any fuel. It'll run off of white gas, gasoline out of a car, diesel, jet fuel, any liquid fuel that you can pressurize using this will run through the stove. So you can almost guarantee you'll find some source of fuel to put into this bottle to run the stove, even if you're just siphoning a little bit out of your truck. These all come in different sizes. This is 22 fluid ounces. So that's not even a nalgene worth of fuel. And I think you could probably spare that out of a spare tank so that you could melt snow, boil water. But that'll be in the truck. That's what I consider probably your bug out vehicle stove. It's just because of the weight. Now, obviously this guy's been used quite a bit, but the titanium stoves are a little bit, they're lighter, they're really strong, and if you check my video, I'm not going to take it all out, but you essentially have everything in here, because this runs Etzbitz, which would be a good backup. It has a 4-ounce bottle of alcohol, still a backup, but because the titanium cone allows you to burn wood, you can always have fuel. And this is the one I said where there's a bottom plate in here, so it catches all the ashes, and no one will ever know that you were there burning, for days. You can sit there and just fill this thing up, dump it in your Nalgene after you purify water, fill it up again, and just over and over, just keep that fire going. For the weight, you can't beat the firepower that this stove gives you. And I've got tons of other stoves. This is the one that's going with me, guaranteed. Simply because these can be eating containers, other than right out of the pot. This pot is a 0.9 liter, so basically you can boil a full Nalgene full. It also keeps my tent pegs in here so that you don't get snagged and damaged into your pack, on the inside of your pack. Basically all I did is add my extra tent pegs, because it comes with 2 of them, and a spork for eating, and I'm good to go. Unlimited amount with the wood burning capability. And that's sort of what I'm, long term, all this isn't going to do you any good when I run out of fuel. So that's kind of my take on my bug out stoves. And again, if you have any questions, I'll put the link of the other video of any specific weights. I'm pretty sure it's all weighed in this separate video, separate review. I also have the Caldera keg, and I'm thinking about getting the one that they just recently started up for some of the smaller cups, just as an extra something or other. But let me know what you think.